Russia is demanding a probe into civilian casualties in Libya caused by NATO bombings. That's the reaction to a report by human rights groups which claims dozens were killed in airstrikes, despite the alliance saying its operation was almost flawless. While the conflict is over and the man who stood in the way of Western-style democracy dead, atrocities against his loyalists continue. You may find some of the images in Oksana Boyko's report disturbing.
This is what it's like to look death in the face. A group of men, young and old, captured after the NATO-propped rebels overrun Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte. The voice behind the camera delivers a verdict.
Did you work for Gaddafi? Did you?
And the captives themselves seem dead certain about what's coming next. Scenes like these played out across Libya as the rebels, assisted by Western powers, sought to liberate the country from Gaddafi. Urban legends about his sadistic tendencies grow more and more outlandish by the day, and that seems to justify any sort of treatment for his perceived loyalists.
In some places, the violence is quite bad. The town we looked at was called Tawerga, and the militias from the neighboring town of Misrata are terrorizing the people of Tawerga. They accuse them of having fought for Gaddafi, of having committed atrocities in his name.
This is one of the liberated Tripoli's new landmarks, a prison where Muammar Gaddafi was set to hold his political opponents with no access to lawyers and no chance for a fair trial. But while the prison's new guards are very elaborate in narrating Gaddafi's ferocities, fear and hatred still reside in this neighborhood.
Abu Slim is a poor area in southern Tripoli where Muammar Gaddafi had strong support base prior to his fleeing. The district also lent its name to a notorious prison, a scene of torture and arbitrary killings. But while Gaddafi is gone, the human rights abuses still remain. Men from this area are still disappearing without a trace. Their families are too scared to talk about that.
This is probably the only place in Libya where families of alleged Gaddafi supporters can turn to for help. Mohammed formed his NGO earlier this year to investigate the fate of those who disappeared in Gaddafi's prisons. He's now primarily dealing with people who went missing under Libya's new leadership.
It's usually mothers who come here, and at first they are scared to tell me that their son or husband was with the Gaddafi forces. They usually say he was a civilian caught in the crossfire, but I tell them that I don't care which side he was on. All I need is accurate information so that we can start searching.
Mohammed and his friends have been taking photos of unidentified bodies that have been popping up across Libya in recent months. These snapshots are probably the relatives' most realistic hope of finding closure. But even after sifting through them, many manage to retain hope. Like this man, whose brother disappeared on the front lines of Ben Javad.
I hope he's in Tunisia. Maybe he's in hospital. Maybe he's lost his memory or has no way of contacting us.
They say hope dies last. In Libya, it's still alive, even if many people aren't. Oksana Boyko, Artsy.